strikes over Indian airports. We'll take a look at what's at stake for the Delhi and Mumbai airports. Good morning, everyone. Nice to have you with us for this Wednesday edition of the Asia Business Report live on BBC World. It's the start of a brand new month. Nice to have you with us. I'm Rico Hizon in Singapore. Two consortia led by Indian companies won the scrutinized battle to modernize India's biggest airports, a group led by India's GVK Industries. And the Airports Company of South Africa was awarded the country's busiest airport in Mumbai. While in Delhi, the contract went to the GMR Group in collaboration with German airport operator Frankfurt Airport, or Fraport. The selection of the companies is being marred by a strike called by more than 2,500 employees of the state-run Airports Authority of India in Mumbai, who are threatening to bring the nation's busiest airports to a standstill. For more now on this airport deal in India, we're joined in our studios by Simon Littlewood, President of business consultancy company Asia Now. Thank you so much for joining us. Simon, first of all, there's a lot of opposition to this deal, but taking a look at the fine print, is it fair? Is it a fair agreement?
Well, certainly there has been a great deal of effort made to placate the unions. There has been a requirement, for example, right from the start of the bidding, that all jobs were to be retained for at least 3 years and 60% of jobs thereafter, which on the surface of it looks pretty fair. This is a change that is desperately needed by India. If you travel to India, as I'm sure you do, the level of infrastructure in places like Bombay is in stark contrast to what's been achieved in many other capitals in Asia.
But the airport employees do not want this deal. They don't want the busiest airports to be privatized. With this opposition and with thousands of employees going on strike, and if it lasts longer than expected, could the Indian government just cancel this whole privatization offer?
I think it's going to be very hard for them to do that. As you know, this government is a reformist government. It's led a very clear international campaign to paint India as an appropriate recipient of FDI, because India has been faring fairly poorly in comparison with China. I think the other thing is that on the demand side, India has reached a key inflection point in terms of demand for air travel, and demand is now growing at about 20% a year as a combination of GDP and demand for travel.
But we mentioned about the winners for these two busiest airports in New Delhi and Mumbai.
Yeah.
But for one particular airport, there was one major complaint, particularly from one of India's biggest companies, Reliance, who said, and they were shocked by this final result, even though they won on technical grounds.
Reliance probably regarded themselves as an insider. I mean, you know, the other thing that the government has been trying to do with this process is if you like, start a new era where you have a transparent bidding process. I mean, India is certainly not known for the transparency of its bidding process. So you had a two-stage process which said, first of all, we'll separate the financial discussion from the technical discussion, and we'll then segregate bidders based entirely on how they meet the technical requirements. And then,
is there a possibility, on the other hand, for a rebidding process?
Well, there's always a possibility. I think that would be very disappointing. You know, on the economic front, the deal that the government has got looks pretty good. They offered 74% of the airports, but they've got revenue shares in excess of 50% from both of the proposed operators, as well as undertakings to keep their employees in place. So, I mean, on the surface of it, this looks like a pretty good deal. Without foreign funds, they are going to struggle. In fact, they are unable to create the level of infrastructure investment that they need. Yeah.
What do you think then will be the middle ground between the striking employees and the Indian government to be able to move this privatization process forward?
I mean, it is essential, because the employees have threatened not merely to bring Mumbai and Delhi to a standstill, but 128 other airports, which they also support throughout India. So there will be a lot of fierce debate behind the scenes, and you know, I'm hopeful, simply because of the level of political imperative here, that the government will be trying very hard to reach an accommodation with these unions. But you know, this is sadly the history of reform in India. You have a very strong left-wing trade union movement that tends to oppose change in whatever shape or form it comes. Let's hope that, that in this case we can see a happy outcome. Yeah?
All right, let's hope for the best. Simon Littlewood from business consultancy company Asia Now. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for joining us in the Asia Business Report. I'm Rico Hizon. Have a great month, everyone. See you again soon.